Okay, the first thing I want to do is add that lintel over the top to support all the bricks above it. And we can leave the trim on. These are all things that we can turn off. It's not a problem that we're actually seeing them now. They're just not going to be visible on our model when we import it in. But let's go ahead and make an extrusion now. So I'm going to go to extrusion. I'm going to pick a plane to draw on. So I'll pick a plane. And I'm going to roll over to this top edge, and then I'm going to hit tab until I get that whole face of the wood. And I'm going to select that. And then I'm going to use the rectangle tool, and I'm going to draw from one edge of that frame to the other, just as I've done there. And I've drawn down, but I really want it to go up, but I was just using these lines as a guide. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this now, and I'm going to pull this up. And we'll pull it up 3.5 inches. That's fine. And it's not always done, but we can pull this out so that it kind of grabs the edges of the brick. So that it is actually, there'll be some brickwork here, and that'll be supporting this piece of stone that we create above it. So we're ready to extrude it, but we really don't want it to be a foot deep. We only want it to be that 3.5 inches deep. So I'm going to put in 3.5, click apply, and click OK. And it's not showing up because I think we're in some kind of rendered mode. Let's see, we put it in hidden line, it'll show up. So now we can see our piece of trim. Let's go ahead and look at this in a 3D view. So we can see where that's sitting there. And actually, let's just go right off to the left-hand view. And so we can see it's sitting kind of out in front of the trim there. And actually what I want to do is, I'm going to pull this back a little bit. I'm going to pull it back to the face of the frame. It might be a little difficult for you to see, first-time user. Let's go ahead now, and I'll save this, and then I'm going to go ahead and load it into the project. I still have my CV4 open, but it's in project 4, which is the one I have open. It's not going to warn me about overwriting or anything like that, but this is the window that we want to replace. So let me just jump to the 3D view of it, and instead of placing it, what I'm going to do is substitute it. So I'm going to select the double hung window, and then I'm going to pull down and grab the custom window that we just created. And you notice it looks like the piece of stonework is sticking out. But if we do some of the adjustments to this window, for instance, we're going to set it in 3.5 inches. All right, and I'll hit apply. That's funny, it didn't move in. Let me figure out what's going on there. It seems like it won't actually inset until we turn the trim off. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the window again, and first turn off, once I grab the window, first turn off the trim, the exterior trim, and click apply. And now it sets back correctly. Now this is sticking a little proud of the brick, the lintel that we have here, and maybe a little further out than I would like, but by moving it out in front of the face of it, it gives it a little more presence. Sometimes the two textures will merge into each other. So I'd make this less, maybe 1/4 inch, and we'll do that next when we change the color of this. So I'm going to go back to the window itself, and once again, I'm going to select this window, or this extrusion, excuse me. And you'll see how it's 3.5 inches. And let's just say we're going to change this down to just 3 inches. Whoops. I don't know what I did there. I'll try one more time. And let's give it a material. So I'm going to go to category, click in front of that, open up a new material, right click, create a new material. And we'll call it, I'll rename it Sill Lintel Stone. So we can modify that to whatever you might choose. And right away, we're just going to set it for a lighter gray so it's not so dark. And I'll click OK and OK. And then let's just go ahead and practice with that. We're going to load that back into the project. And then we're just going to overwrite the existing one. And we'll look at that in a 3D view. And so now it's a little more tame in its color, and you can see now it's set back up at a pretty good level. So the last thing I want to do now is add the base sill. So we'll go back to this view again. We're really going to do the same task. I'm going to rotate around until we're at the front view of this. And I'm going to create another extrusion. And we've already selected that, that drawing plane, so we actually don't need to worry about that. I'm just going to draw a rectangle here, excuse me. I'll start here and I'll just go over just the same way we did the first time. And then I'm going to pull this out so it's taking, once again, that kind of bite into the brick. And I'll pull this down, and I want to pull this down right to the bottom of the frame. And that says it's 3 1/8. So let's just change this to 3 1/2. All right, and it's set for that 3 1/2 inch extrusion. And we'll leave that set for now. Let's give it the same material. All right, and let's look at that from the side view just to see what we were drawing here. I'll click complete, and it's extruded that out. And I'm just going to pull this back until it's lined up with the other one, and pull this backside, remember, again, until it's lined up back there. And that looks pretty good, so I'm going to probably save that and then load it into the project. And overwrite the existing. I'll take a look at that in the 3D view. And now we have a window that's more classically, I guess, fixed within the brick. It has a stone lintel over it to support the brick and a stone sill. Many times too, this will have a bit of a carving to it to direct water away from the bottom of the window. We won't get into that detail in the sketch. So in the next clip, I'll just put a couple of images together on a sheet for turning it in.